Hare Krishna everyone. So welcome to our weekly Bhagavad Gita class. Let's get started with the Mangalacharan prayers. You can also recite with me. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyabadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchadatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyem Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we shall continue our discussion on second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we have already discussed the Arjuna's arguments in chapter 1. So Arjuna, by seeing the relatives, is not ready to fight and giving 4 arguments in the first chapter, which are described in verses 27 to 46 of chapter 1. So the first argument is compassion. Arjuna become compassionate towards the family members. And although it is a dharma for Kshatriya to annihilate the miscreants, but Arjuna is attached to family members. When family members are miscreants, he is not ready to fight with them. Second, Arjuna gives an argument of no enjoyment, that if I kill all these relatives, with whom I will enjoy, even if I become victorious in the war, with whom I will enjoy, with whom I will share my happiness. Third point given by Arjuna is, if I kill them, I will incur sinful reactions. And fourth point is, our dynasty will be destroyed. The glory of our dynasty will be destroyed, because if these warriors are dead in the battlefield, and who will protect their wives? And they may be exploited by other unscrupulous persons, and our dynasty will be corrupted. So in chapter 2, so in whole chapter 1, Krishna remained silent. And in chapter 2 also, Krishna did not speak much until the point Arjuna surrenders unto Krishna. So in the verse number 7, Arjuna surrenders. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichamitam dharma sammoda chetam yashayashan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapanyam. So Arjuna says, I am now bewildered about my duty. O Krishna, you become my spiritual master. You accept myself as your disciple and instruct me. What should I do? So then in chapter 2, there are different sections which defeat different arguments of Arjuna. The first section is Jnana or Sankhya. From 11 to 30, this section is called Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, which is basically the analysis of body and soul. And this is the first step of spiritual knowledge. Therefore, this is the first spiritual concept discussed in Bhagavad Gita. And by this, Krishna is refuting the compassion argument, that there is nothing to be compassionate. The reality is they are spirit souls, and soul will never die, and their body will never be protected. Someday or the other, the body will deteriorate. So even if you do not fight, they will die someday. You will not be able to protect their body. And if you fight, or whatever you do, if you do not fight, their soul will remain eternal. It will not be killed. And different properties of soul are being discussed in this section. In the end of this section, Krishna also says, okay, now I have explained you from the perspective of the soul. Even if you do not believe in the philosophy of the soul, you are an atheistic person, you think body is made up of chemicals, then also you do not have any reason for lamentation. Why are you becoming compassionate? They are just some chemicals. So where is compassion coming from? So anyway, you should fight. So this is by the analysis of body and soul, Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga, Krishna defeated the compassion argument. The next argument is defeated by Sakam Karma. Arjuna asked the question in material platform, how can I get material enjoyment? If all my relatives are killed in the battlefield, there will be no material enjoyment. So Krishna is telling, even for material enjoyment, you have to fight. If you fight and become victorious, you will get the kingdom. If you fight and you are killed in the battlefield, you will attain heavenly planets. So if you fight, you will be able to enjoy material happiness. On the other hand, if you do not fight, people will blaspheme you, people will dishonor you, and you will incur sinful activities. And for a Kshatriya, blasphemy is worse than death. So therefore, even for material prestige and material pleasure, you should fight. So that is the Sakam Karma section. The third argument was that I will incur sinful reactions. So in reply to that, Krishna said that you have to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. If you are not attached to your work, if you are doing Niskam Karma Yoga, then there is no reaction. Whatever activities you are not doing it for yourself. Whenever we do something for ourselves, we are in a dangerous condition. We have to suffer that karma. We are increasing our karmic reactions. Whenever we do something for ourselves, whether it is bad or good, it will have reactions. Anything done for ourselves will bring sufferings because we are trying to gratify our senses. That's not how we will become happy. Just like a little finger which is attached to the body. If this finger gets separated from the body and wants to get nutrition by itself, it will not get nutrition, but it will die. But if it is attached to the body and if it is serving the body, if it is helping the hand in grabbing the food and bringing it to the mouth, then the stomach will be satisfied. And eventually this little finger also will be nourished. So this is the mechanism also going on in the universe. So therefore Gita reveals the universal secrets. This is one of the universal secrets. We all are trying in this material world to become happy, but we will never become happy in that way. 99.99% population are going in this direction and they are unhappy. Momentarily some pleasure for some milliseconds we will get, but most of the time we will be unhappy. The real secret is if you satisfy Krishna's senses, then your senses will be satisfied. Just like when we decorate ourselves, the reflection in the mirror automatically gets decorated. Similarly, when we serve Krishna, because we are reflection and part and parcel of Krishna, we will get happiness. But if we try to enjoy independently, we will never get happiness and we will get sufferings. We will not get happiness, but we will get sufferings. So that is the thing discussed here, that do not do anything for yourself. Niskam Karma Yoga means whatever I am doing, offer it, connect it somehow with the Supreme Lord. If as a student we are studying, you have to connect somehow that, okay, my motivation for study is Krishna's pleasure. If I study well, people will see my example and they will become devotee. If I study well, I will earn well and I will support Krishna's mission. I will propagate the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So somehow make your motivation Krishna conscious. In that way, you will be saved from the karmic reactions. And the more we increase karmic reactions, our life will become complicated. We all have problems in life, and these problems are coming from karma. So to reduce the burden of karma, we have to do everything in a Krishna conscious way. Somehow or other, we have to connect it with Krishna. So this Niskam Karma Yoga is also called Buddhi Yoga, means yoga of the intelligent person. An intelligent person does not do anything for himself because he knows this will bind me in the bondage of karma and I will get sufferings. So an intelligent person does Niskama Karma Yoga, or a detached work without reactions. So if somebody is working like that, then there will be no sinful reactions. So Krishna has spoken this Niskam Karma Yoga knowledge to Arjuna. Now, Krishna is also telling that if you perform this Niskam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, this is the best motivation to do work. Krishna has already given several arguments like compassion. Krishna has defeated compassion by Atma Tattva. Krishna has defeated the material enjoyment or no enjoyment argument by Sakam Karma Yoga. And Krishna also discussed this Niskam Karma Yoga. So Niskam Karma Yoga is the topmost among these three. Niskam Karma Yoga is the best. So all three are motivations for fighting, but this is the best motivation to fight. But we should not do our works for Sakam Karma because I will get material enjoyment. Yes, that is also one motivation, but we should not adapt that motivation because that will also bring suffering. Whenever there is some expectation, there will be suffering. And also at the end of this section, Krishna reveals the secret how to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. If somebody tries to become detached from the fruits of action, it is not possible. If you do not bring Krishna into the picture and you try to do detached work, it is not possible. So Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga is not possible without Bhakti. It is only possible when you bring Krishna into the picture and do everything for Krishna's pleasure. So therefore, Krishna has given this formula. In the 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga will be more elaborately discussed. There Krishna says, Mai sarvani karmani samnyasya adhyatma chetasa. Offer all your activities unto me. In the 9th chapter again, Krishna says the same thing. Jat karosi jadasnasi jajjuhosi dadasi jat tapasyashi kanteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do it as an offering to me. So that is the most beneficial activity for a living entity. If a living entity is abiding by this instruction of Krishna, he or she will become happy. Otherwise, in this material world, there is no hope of happiness. There is only semblance of happiness. We think if we do such and such activity, we will become happy. Happiness is always in the future. But if we do not follow the advice of Krishna, we will never get actual happiness. So Niskam Karma Yoga is the best, and it can only be performed if you offer all your activities to Krishna. So that is the argument given till now. So we have discussed till 53. So now 54 onwards, there are qualities of Sthita Pragya. So after hearing all this, Arjuna is asking now that, oh Krishna, you have discussed that how Niskam Karma Yoga is the best, and we will get all happiness by following Niskam Karma Yoga. But this seems very difficult. Like, how can I become detached? I am doing the activity, but yet I am detached from the fruits of this activity. How is this possible? This seems to be very difficult for me. Is there anyone in this planet who has already done this? Because it seems impossible for me. I need some examples. I need some ideals that I want to see that this person has, okay, this person has done. Is there someone? And if there is someone, how can I identify that soul? What are the characteristics of that soul? How that person talks, how that person works? So please tell me the characteristics or qualities of such a person. And such a person, the technical terminology for such a person is called Sthita Pragya. Okay. Sthita Pragya, Muni, self-realized soul, these are all the same things. So we can start from verse number 54. Okay, regarding taking notes, in the last class, I got some feedback from some devotees that some devotees are finding it difficult to simultaneously understand and also take notes. So there are two things what you can do. If you are comfortable writing down, that's the best. So main focus should be understanding. So in Kali Yuga memory, what happens? So we read the Bhagavad Gita, then we tend to forget the context. When we are in the 7th chapter, we have already forgotten what Krishna has described in chapter 2. So that's why I was forcing on writing down as a notes. Then you can have a summary of whole Bhagavad Gita written by yourself. So if you're comfortable writing that while listening to the class, that is absolutely fine. Otherwise, what you can do, if you're finding difficulty, then you can listen to the class, understand it completely. And then suppose we are discussing 15 to 20 verses in each classes. So just after the class, you go through the translations in the book and summarize the translation in one sentence, like whatever you feel you can write with the understanding from the class. Summarize every translation into one sentence and write down. So everyone must do this exercise while in the class or outside the class. Then your Bhagavad Gita understanding will be very clear. So this is one of my humble suggestions. And personally, it has worked for me. So I hope it will work for you also. Okay, so let's start from 54. So Arjuna is asking this question. Shruti Bipratipannate Jada. Okay, so this is the previous verse when Krishna is telling that your mind is no longer disturbed by flowery language of the Vedas. So Krishna has also spoken to Arjuna that you should be elevating yourself from the platform of the Vedas, because Vedas are speaking about karma kanda, 3 modes of material nature. Vedas are accommodating everyone. One who has a material desires, Veda is also prescribing, okay, you want this material desire, do this sacrifice, do this brata, then you will get material enjoyment. So Krishna is telling, rise from such material enjoyment sections of Vedas, and Srimad Bhagavatam is also part of Vedic scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is also part of Vedic scriptures. Adopt this kind of high quality knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Do not get stuck into material pleasures. Vedas are like a desire tree. Therefore, Vedas are called Kalpabriksha. Whatever you want, you will get the solution in the Vedas. If you are finding modern technology, Atharva Veda and other Shastras of the Vedic literature deals with that. If you are wanting some high quality medical knowledge, you can go to Ayurveda. That is also part of Veda. If you want material enjoyment, you will also get Karmakandi section of the Vedas. If you want Mukti, you have to follow the Jnanakanda section of the Vedas. But if you want the topmost thing, you have to follow the Bhakti Yoga, the cream literatures, essence of the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So then now Arjuna's doubt is clear that I should fight, and Niskam Karma Yoga is the best. Now Arjuna is asking, how can I find a person who has already mastered this art of Niskam Karma Yoga? Arjuna Uvacha Sthita Pragyasya Ka Bhasha Amadhistasya Keshava Sthitadhi Kim Pravasheta Kimashit Brajeta Kim. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? So this is another name from Sthita Pragya, consciousness merged in transcendence. He's always transcendentally conscious. He's not materially conscious because he's always thinking of Krishna, connecting everything to Krishna. So this is called transcendental consciousness. How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? So Arjuna is asking about the qualities or characteristics of Sthita Pragya by which we can identify. Now the Supreme Lord is replying. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Jada Kaman Sarvam Partha Manogatam Atmanyevatmana Tushta Sthita Pragyastaduchate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from the material mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So the Lord has described some qualities of the Sthita Pragya. What are they? First is a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification. Sense gratification means we have different senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. So the senses are always looking for sense objects. They're always looking for enjoyment. We want to see something good to satisfy our eyes. We want to see rock music to satisfy our ears. So all the senses are demanding, and gratifying those demands are called sense gratification. But this is not the way to attain happiness. Great acharyas like Prahlad Maharaj said that the sense gratification is like an itching sensation. If you itch temporarily, there will be some pleasure, but it is making the itch worse. And if you keep on doing it, the sensation will not go away. It will not be satiated, but it will be more aggravated. So by gratifying the senses, demands of the senses increase. Just like when we pour butter into the fire, it does not extinguish the fire. It increases the fire more. So similarly, more increased fire, more increased demand for the senses means we will feel more unhappy because our senses are demanding and the demand has increased and we are not supplying. So we will be more unhappy. So therefore, what is the solution? Kanduti van manasijam vishaheta dhira. Prahlad Maharaj says this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmaitu nadi grihamedi shukam hitucham kanduya nena karayo iva dukkha dukkham. Tripyanti neha kripano bahu dukkha bhaja kanduti van manasijam vishaheta dhira. So Prahlad Maharaj says people are looking for sense gratification, but tripyanti neha kripano. By sense gratification, one never attains pleasure. But what happens? Bahu dukkha bhaja. Many unhappiness and sufferings will come into your life if you are going in the path of sense gratification. Then what is the solution to what is the way to happiness? Kanduti van manasijam vishaheta dhira. You have to tolerate the urge for sense gratification. If the senses are demanding, but no, they should not control you. You should control your senses. You know what is to be supplied and what is not. You supply that in a restricted way. Bhagavad Gita also does not say that do not gratify your senses at all. That is another extreme. That is also not prescribed. We have to adopt the Madhyam Pantha, which is described in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita will come. Yukta hara viharasya yukta chestasya karmashu yukta sapna bhavodhyasya yogo bhavati dukkha. A yogi should be moderate in everything. One should not do extreme sense gratification. And one should also should not do no sense gratification. Like body is demanding, we are hungry, but no, I should not feed the body. So this is also another extreme. And this is also not a behavior of a yogi. So for a yogi, everything should be moderate and in a restricted quantity. So first of all, Sthita Pragya gives up all desire for sense gratification, which are from mental concoction. These are the demands of our mind. Our soul does not need sense gratification. These are the demands of our mind. Mind is cheating us that by gratifying senses, he will become happy. And when his mind thus purified, mind purified means there is no more material desires. Mind has become purified from what? From the material desires. Those material desires are called mala, or they are kalmash. They are the impurities in the mind which cause suffering. So because a Sthita Pragya is free from all material desires for sense gratification, he finds satisfaction in the self alone. In such a condition, we'll be internally happy. We don't have to go outside to cinema halls, to here and there. We will be always happy. There is a source of happiness inside us. We will feel that once we are able to discover. So such a person is satisfied in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So first quality is the Sthita Pragya does not have any desire for sense gratification or purified of all material desires. That is the first qualification. Second, Dukkheshu anudvignamana shukheshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthita dhira muniruchyate. One who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear and anger is called sage of steady mind. Means again the Sthita Pragya. So what happens to a Sthita Pragya? Dukkheshu anudvignamana. In difficult situation, he is anudvigna. He is not disturbed. Sukheshu vigata spriha. In the happy conditions, when there is too much happiness, he is not overwhelmed by the happiness and he is not forgetting the duties. Okay. So here we can see that a Sthita Pragya person, a self-realized person, is always steady in consciousness. He executes the duty steadily. His execution of the duty does not depend on happiness and distress. Sometimes it happens that when everything is going good and we are feeling grateful to Lord, we doing our every activity like chanting, reading scriptures. But when we are in little difficulty, we tend to skip those activities. So this is not a sign of Sthita Pragya. That means we are far away from the stage of Sthita Pragya and we have to improve ourselves. So therefore, we have to become steady. We have to think the results. I should not take credit for the results. I have only done my part. According to my karma, the Supreme Lord is delivering me the results. So I have to only do my duty. When Whether I become successful or whether I fail, that's not my business. Even after a lot of hard work, I may fail if my karma is bad. So I should not take the credit for whatever achievements I have done or the failures. I have to just execute my duty. Okay, I tried this, I failed. Okay, now according to my intelligence, by discussing with the Vaishnavas, the next step is this. I will do this next. And whether in the next step I will get success or failure, that's again depend on Krishna. Krishna will give me success if he thinks success is necessary for me. Krishna will give me failure if he thinks failure is necessary for me. We do not know the big picture, but Krishna knows. So sometimes it happens, like many successful persons, they were tremendously suffering and they became a tremendous failure in the beginning. If you see Srila Prabhupada also, Srila Prabhupada failed for 40 years. 40 years he is trying to preach and nobody is hearing to him. While Prabhupada was in India, there was only one disciple. When he went to West also, 1 year he is struggling, nobody came up. 1 year, 2 years, nobody. So Prabhupada was trying to go back to India. Many times he would go to the ship company and ask them, when is the next ship going back to India? But then again, he would remember the order of his spiritual master and stay back. So it may happen that sometimes these failures are necessary to make us stronger from inside. And then we should always keep faith in Lord's plan. Lord has some plan for me. And that plan will be more beautiful than my plan. So we should not think that, okay, I know what should be done with my life. We are not that intelligent. If we were intelligent, we would not end up here in this material world. We are here in this material world. That means we are fool number one. We have left Krishna and we have come here to this material world. So therefore, we should crush this false ego that I know everything and I am very intelligent. No, I am a rascal. This is how our acharyas would approach the Supreme Lord and Guru. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, there are many songs. Dante Trina Dhari Gaura, Daki hai tumhare. So Dante Trina Dhari, just like a animal, I am taking straw between my teeth and I am offering myself to you, Lord. Oh Lord, I do not have any intelligence. You please guide me. Whenever we think we are very smart, Lord will not guide. Arjuna was smartly giving logics in the chapter 1. Krishna did not speak a single verse. When Arjuna surrendered, Krishna will open up. And that will bring the beauty in our life. Using our intelligence, we will never become happy. So we have to convince ourselves this. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. The essence is Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Saranam Vraja. It comes in the 18th chapter, last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Surrendering unto Krishna and abiding by the instruction of Krishna. That is the ultimate success of life. If somebody is able to do that, that means he is the most intelligent person. He has identified all the loopholes of Maya and he has identified the best thing, the best remedy. So he is really intelligent. The scientist who is discovering many new discoveries is not something very intelligent because he is not even able to identify that he is suffering. Maya is tricking him. He is not identifying that. So real intelligent person is who has identified the trap of Maya and who has surrendered unto the lotus feet of Krishna. Okay, so the next verse. Ya sarvatra na visnehas tattad prapya subhashubham na vinandyati na dveshti tasya pragya pratishthitam. What are the more characteristics? In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising nor despising it, firmly fixed in the perfect knowledge. So it is similar to the previous verse. He is not affected by good or evil or success or failure. Yada samharate chayam kurmo angani vasarvasham indriyan indriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratishthitam. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects. Senses are demanding, but Sthita Pragya person will not feed the senses. As the tortoise draws his limbs within the cell, he is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So an analogy of tortoise is given. Tortoise can withdraw the senses within the cell. So similarly, a Sthita Pragya person withdraws the senses when there is no use. When there is some opportunity to do service to the Lord, his senses becomes active. But when there is too much Maya, illusion, and there is so much distraction, a Sthitapragya person will withdraw the senses. And he will not allow his senses to become agitated by the allurements outside. So Sthitapragya is compared to a tortoise. This is one analogy. Another analogy will come, analogy of ocean. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinam raso varajam rasopyascha param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So Krishna is speaking about a Sthitapragya person does not gratify the senses. But it is very difficult. When our senses demand something, it is very difficult to deny. Now Krishna is giving us a solution. How can you do that? If you try to deny the demands of the senses, you will not become successful. But you have to replace. Once you provide higher taste to the senses, automatically taste for the lower things will cease to exist. So we are accustomed to material pleasure. But if we put a little effort and we want to obtain spiritual happiness, once we experience the spiritual happiness, then all this negating all these lower pleasure, lower materialistic pleasures will be very easy. So we have to look for higher pleasure. We do not have to delete anything from our life. Just add Krishna in everything. And then experience the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. And automatically the lower pleasures will be replaced. So therefore, this is a practical way. In some spiritual practices, they deny the demands of the senses. And this is very, very difficult. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 1 month you can do. And then you will again, we will give up because this is very difficult. But bhakti is very scientific. You are not denying the demands of the senses, but you are replacing it with higher taste. So therefore, this is feasible. Right? Just like in a bulb, you cannot have oxygen, then it will cause oxidation. So you have to replace it with some inert gases. You cannot leave it empty because then the air pressures will crush that bulb. So you have to replace, you have to increase the concentration of nitrogen, and eventually the concentration of oxygen will go down. So this is a scientific process which is adapted in modern science. And bhakti is also very, very scientific, that replace your engagements by spiritual engagements, then the lower pleasures will be automatically replaced. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta ashitamat param vasehi jasyendriyani tasya pragya pratishthitam. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Now Krishna is again revealing the key. One key we have already discussed, that try to cultivate higher pleasure. But how to get higher pleasure? Fix the consciousness upon me. In every activity, try to become Krishna conscious, connected to Krishna. When we are chanting, that is a core Krishna conscious activity. When we are reading Bhagavad Gita, that is core Krishna conscious activity. But it should not be like only 1 hour we are giving to Krishna and 23 hours we are giving to Maya. Then we will get enjoyment and suffering in the ratio 23:1. No, this is not the way. We have to become always Krishna conscious. How that is possible? Chanting is a Krishna conscious activity. Reading Gita is Krishna conscious activity. But while we are doing other works like cooking and talking to other people and working, these activities also can be made Krishna conscious by somehow connecting them with Krishna. While we are making food, we can listen to some kirtan or some lecture, and we should think that we are cooking for Krishna. I am not cooking for my personal sense gratification. I am doing a service for Krishna, and Krishna will be very happy by tasting this food offered to him. We should meditate in that way. Then that activity becomes transcendental. If we simply cook and eat, and then we will incur some sinful activities and karma. In the 3rd chapter, exactly this language is used. Ye pachanti atma karanat. Ye means who, pachanti means cooks, atma karanat means for the sake of oneself, for sense gratification. that person is incurring sinful activity. So therefore, connect everything with Krishna. Do in a Krishna conscious way. That's the key to happiness. Now, Krishna will say that, okay, this is the key to happiness. But why people cannot follow this? What happens? So there are different stages of fall down. How we become captivated by Maya. There are different stages. So those stages are being discussed here. Dhyayato vishayan pumsha sangaste shupajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodha vijayate. So when fall down happens, why we cannot stay in this spiritual platform? There are some stages of fall down which we should be very cautious. We should not do these things. While contemplating on the object of senses, a person develops attachment for them. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa, what happens? Sangaste supajayate. We develop attachment. And from such attachment, what happens? Lust develops. Sangat sanjayate kama, lust. And from lust, kramat, krodha avijayate, anger arises from lust. Lust means deep material desire. We want, I want this material thing. If we do not get that particular object, then we become angry. So lust gives rise to krodha. So the root is contemplating on the object of senses. If we contemplate, then we develop attachment. From the attachment, we develop lust. From lust, anger arises. And what happens from anger? Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, smriti bhamsad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. From anger, complete delusion arises. From delusion comes bewilderment of the memory. We cannot recollect all the good teachings we have read in the scriptures. When the lust is too much, lust does not only mean sexual desire, but any strong material desire is called lust. When we strongly want something, our intelligence becomes blank. We cannot apply logic. We become completely blind from all knowledge. That is called the bewilderment of the memory. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So this is how Maya traps us. So what is the root? The root is contemplating on the object of senses. So we have to control ourselves in the root. Sometimes we think, okay, it is okay to think about the sense object. I'm not gratifying the senses anyway. But what is the difficulty in thinking? Just by thinking, you will develop attachment, and from attachment, you will develop lust, from lust, anger, from anger, delusion, from delusion to bewilder of the memory, and from bewilderment of the memory, intelligence will be lost, and you will again be thrown back into the material pool. So control your thoughts. Again, how can we control our thoughts? It's not possible to make our mind thoughtless. That is very difficult. Some people do that, thoughtlessness. But that is very difficult, and that is impractical. You cannot have that. If you just try to do that, you will fail. And it will bring some temporary benefits. It's not giving you benefits on the spiritual level. But actual process is described in Bhagavad Gita, that you try to replace your thoughts by Krishna conscious thoughts. You cannot have a thoughtless situation, but try to replace your thoughts. Previously, 100% thoughts I used to get are material. Try 10% Krishna conscious, 90% material. Then try 20% Krishna conscious, 80% material. One day will come, every thought is coming, it is Krishna conscious. And then you are already a perfected yogi. 64. Ragadvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyascharan atma vasher vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through the regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So we have to regulate our senses, we should not starve them completely, and we should not gratify them completely. And this is only possible by the mercy of the Lord. If we connect Krishna with everything, this will become very easy. Without Krishna, if you try to do, it is very difficult. Because this is a very difficult task and we cannot do ourselves. So we have to crush our false ego and surrender to Krishna. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir asyopajayate prasanna chetasho hyasho buddhi parya Matishtate. For one, the satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. This is a very bold statement. If you are completely Krishna conscious, you will experience no misery. Just think about this. Currently, we are facing so many problems in our life. Every day, new struggles. We are solving one problem, another problem arises. But if you are completely Krishna conscious, there will be no material miseries for you. Because all the material miseries are coming to you for a purpose. Because you have not learned the universal secret completely, Krishna is sending you problems so that you learn from the problems. When you become completely Krishna conscious, there is no requirement of any more teachings. You are already perfected. So you will experience no misery. And this happens. The extent to which you are Krishna conscious, problem is reduced to that extent. The extent to which you are only materially conscious, we think that, okay, I have got some material problem. I have to invest more and more time in this problem to solve. But that's an illusion. If you invest more time in that problem, that will not be solved. We have to invest time in Krishna, then automatically the material problems will be solved. This is somewhat magic, but this is the universal secret. This is how universe works. Whenever some material problem comes, we should practice spirituality more vigorously. Then the material problem will subside. When some material problem comes, if you completely throw spirituality out of the window and you engage all your mind into the material problem, it will aggravate, it will not be solved. This is not my statement, this is the statement of Krishna. So this is another universal secret we should learn. So therefore, it is always better to allot some time for spirituality and do not compromise at all, whatever happens to your material life. That's the response of a yogi. Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha tushyasya bhavanam nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kuto sukham. And who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be happiness without peace? So if you are not connected to the Supreme, you will not get happiness and peace. Because the Supreme Lord is the source of all happiness and peace. In the material world, there is no happiness. Material world is called dukkhalayam asasvatam. There is only misery. So if you connect yourself more to this material world, you will derive misery from here. If you connect more to Krishna, you will derive pleasure. And with that pleasure, you will be able to sustain the problems of your material life. What we do, we become tired by fighting with the material problems. Then we take a break. We go to chill out in the weekends. But that kind of material relaxation is not sufficient to fight the material problems. You want some spiritual strength to fight these material problems. Whenever we chill out and we do relaxation materially, it weakens our mind. But spirituality strengthens our mind. So that strength is required to fight the problems of this material world. Relaxation will give you temporary pleasure, but it actually weakens your mind. Your mind, so there is one thing called caffeine tolerance. So some people have the habit that before working, they drink coffee. Then they become habituated to that. If they do not drink coffee, they will not be able to work. So what is that? That is a conditioning. You are making yourself weaker and weaker. You are making yourself dependent on that coffee. Without that coffee, suppose one day there is no coffee in the world, what will you do? So your dependence to this material world is increasing. You are making yourself weak. And spirituality makes us strong and reduces our dependence on the material world. So that's the secret. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nu vididyatem tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavamivam vashim. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away man's intelligence. So mind should be focused on Krishna. If you focus your mind on gratifying the senses, then that will sweep you away and your focus will be completely lost. Even one of the senses can distract you. If you even meditate on the demands of one of the senses, not all, it has sufficient capability to deviate you and destroy your focus. Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvasha indriyanindriyarthevyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Krishna has already spoke this multiple times. That is possible by connecting with Krishna. Yani sa sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani shani sa pashyato munem. What is night for all the beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening of all beings is night for the introspective sage. So an introspective sage wakes up very early in the Brahma Muhurta, and materialistic person, they goes to sleep on that time. And a person who is a sage, a yogi, goes to sleep very early. It is also said that if you sleep before 12, then each hour sleep is equal to 2 hours for the body. So best time to sleep is 9 to 3. So 9 to 3 sleeping means 3 hours before 12. That means 3 hours will act as 6 hours. Then from 12 to 3, every hour is equal to 1 hour. And from 3 to 6, every hour is equal to half an hour. So the more early you sleep and early you wake up, your body will be energized. And that is the schedule of a yogi. This is not only applicable for the sleep cycle. A yogi and a materialistic are always diametrically opposite, not only in the sleeping habits, but in everything. In their taste, their way of speaking, their way of walking, enjoyment, their way of working, everything will be diametrically opposite. So do not fear that, okay, I am becoming different from everyone. What is the point of becoming a sheep in a herd? Become unique and do what is right. 99.99% population are doing the mistake. That does not mean that you also have to do. This is Bhagavad Gita, and this is very, very scientific, and you can experiment with Bhagavad Gita and get result yourself. So this is a science and working science. It has worked for millions of people, billions of people throughout different ages. So why not accept this knowledge? Krishna is revealing the secrets for our benefit. So we have to take advantage. Okay, so there are 2 more verses. We'll complete quickly this chapter. There is another analogy of ocean to Sthita Pragya. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve shashantim apnoti nakamakami. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So just like an ocean, there are different rivers coming and merging into the ocean. They're carrying huge waters, but the ocean is still. The ocean is not flooding. So similarly, a Sthita Pragya person is still, although is bombarded with different material desires, different hoardings, advertisement, Instagram, Reels, Facebook, invoking lust. There are so many elements, but a Sthita Pragya will be very firm. He is convinced. He knows that I have to do my materialistic activities as a duty, and I have to focus my mind on Krishna. So that is my goal. So a person, Sthita Pragya person, is never deviated. Vihaya kamaniya sarvan pumam charati nispriham nirmamo nirahankara shasanti madhigachati. A person who has given up all desire for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. We have to become devoid of false ego. So we should not think ourselves very intelligent. We have to surrender unto Krishna and hear whatever he says. We have to give up the desire for sense gratification, and we have to give up the sense of proprietorship. Nothing belongs to us, everything belongs to Krishna. Suppose we own some land. Before we came into this earth, that land was there. It was someone else's property. While we are in this earth, the land belongs to us. When we will leave, the land will become someone else's. The same tract of land, one human being is thinking this is my land. Some dogs in that area, he also thinks that this is my land. So this ownership is very fragile. Everything is owned by the Supreme Lord. And that is the first mantra of Isha Upanishad. Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagattam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magridha krishna siddhanam. So nothing belongs to me. I have come naked handed. I do not carry anything. And when I will go away, when I will leave the body, I have to leave everything. So nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna. So whatever I have to engage that in Krishna's service, including my talents and beauty. I did not design my face. I did not design my intelligence. I did not design different attributes. If I have some good qualities, that is also Krishna's mercy. Krishna has given in lease. So we have to use those things in Krishna's service. That's the perfection. That's how we can attain happiness. The last slogan. Esha brahme sthiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthita vashyamant kalepi brahma nirvana mrchati. That is the way of spiritual and godly life. So this is high quality life. We should become aspire for high quality life. Materialistic life is low class. We are striving for low class pleasure. It's an animalistic life, just like cats and dogs. Spiritual life, connecting everything with Krishna, rising up early, chanting the holy names, leading a life based on scriptures. That is high quality life. We will also gain satisfaction by practice of such a life. In mode of goodness, sattvic life, very, very fantastic. After attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So that is the final goal of life, that we have to be Krishna conscious at the end of the life. And that is only possible if you practice Krishna consciousness throughout the life. If a dancer wants to perform directly in the stage, he will not be able to perform. They have to practice very vigorously, go through different various kind of rehearsal sessions. Then they will be able to perform. So similarly, we have to practice the whole life, and death is the final examination. Ante Narayana Smriti. So that is the message of chapter 2. And thus we have completed chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. We'll start chapter 3 in the next class. So quickly we'll chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra together. And then we can take questions if you have any.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Okay, thank you all very much. Any questions? Okay, so again, we will meet next week and we will begin chapter 3. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.